Welcome everyone, this is Cory Strathman with Grace in Your Corner, and today I am bringing to you a topic that I think needs to be put up in the front of everything, and that is maintaining your mental wellness during today's world. So how do you do that with all the chaos that's going on in 2020? How do we make sure that mental health is still a priority? Or if it hasn't been a priority, how do we get it to be a priority? So I'm going to talk a little bit about generic items that we can do as individuals and humans, and then I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on things that I found that you need to do and you might not want to hear, but we have to be committed to. Because there is so much stress in the world right now, we have to make sure we're not adding on to a lifestyle of stress already. The first thing is a generic thing that I wish I could just explain to everyone. It seems very simple, common sense, but if every individual did this, if every person in society would focus on this simple task, you would see mental health reduced. And that is just being a good person. Why can't we get along? Why does everything have to be confrontational? Just be a good person. What happened to the days of listening to understand? Remember that just because it's your perspective doesn't mean that it's the only experience out there. And instead of listening and trying to understand theirs, we just want to run in and be chaos creators and get people riled up and taking sides. But we have to continue to spread love and not hate. Just love people. Just love. That's all. If you can just be a good person and love people, mental health would go down drastically. You have to remember that you're going to make an impact on someone's day, whether you want to or not. It might be minute, it might be gigantic, but your action is going to sway it one way or the other. Why not make it a positive impact? That's what you want for yourself, for interactions that your kids have, that your family members have. You want someone to lift them up, not bring them down. We have to get back to being good people, being loving and understanding. So let me give you an example about perspective and how it can be seen differently. We were, as a family here, all planning to go back to Nemaha County to my parents' farm. With this pandemic, we didn't know if we were going to be able to fly back, if we were going to be able to go there. New Jersey was on the quarantine list for a while in Kansas, and we just weren't certain what would happen. And then I talked to my parents in Nemaha County, and there's not as many mandates, there's not as much focus on the precautionaries of COVID-19. My sister's coming from Colorado. They have a different perspective. They're experiencing different things in Colorado. And then my brother's family in Kansas City is even a little bit different than Nemaha County in his own state. So instead of just becoming angry at everyone else and saying, your state's not doing it right, New Jersey's doing it right, this is what has to happen, we take a step back and we let them explain what's going on in the process. And we start to understand that, oh, I have never experienced that. That makes more sense. Okay. Different experiences bring a different perspective. It's the community's perspective. So just because you think that your perspective is best or correct doesn't mean that it is, and you could be causing chaos when there is no need to, or you're even in the wrong. Another example of experiences is the school decisions. I know that there is a ruling in Kansas today that many people are talking about. I can speak from New Jersey. They're still trying to figure out what our school system will look like. And you're fooling yourself if you don't think that every teacher, every parent, every single person in the school district and employees around the community are not stressing out to make sure that they get this right. They're doing the best they can. There's not a winning situation, but yet we have people raking them over the coals on social media and other platforms because they're not agreeing with it. Or if a parent doesn't see eye to eye with you. We have to stop scoffing at people because they're going to keep their kid home this year. They want a hybrid model, or they say, let's get them back in school. Let's wear masks. We're good with that. But just because it doesn't align with your decision, we can't make them feel uncomfortable or make them feel like they're wrong. Instead, why can't we approach it with this? I saw this, and no matter what one of those three choices that they brought, why can't we say, I'm sure that was a difficult decision for you, and I'm just glad that you had the ability to arrive at a decision that's best for your family. Whether you agree with it, don't agree with it, you're just thankful that they had the courage to make the decision that's best for them. Support them. Be a good person. And the last one is, ladies and gentlemen, stop stirring the pot. Election. You can't go right with a debate on elections. It's supposed to provide opportunity for healthy discussion, and there can be, but it so often ends up dividing us. It's really disheartening to see a lot of what becomes. The way people are quick to judge, whether you're a Trump defender, Biden defender, whether you are supporting Black Lives Matter, whether you have a different perspective, all of this. Why are we so quick to stir the pot and make people feel small? The mask debate. Why is it such a political statement for mask debates? And if someone doesn't want to wear a mask, you don't have to be around that person. Stay away from them, okay? I am pro-mask. I think that it's supporting others, but I don't see eye to eye with some other people that feel that way, but I'm not rude to those people. I can strongly disagree, but I'm not going to go out of my way to make them feel like less of a person. A quick story on that is, as we were traveling down I-70 to come back to Kansas, at every rest stop, my boys and I get out, we use the restroom, we've got our masks on, and there was a gentleman there that wasn't wearing a mask, started making fun of our masks, my boys' masks, and talking political about, if so-and-so wins, this is only going to get worse. I had nothing to do with that gentleman. We didn't do anything, but what we did do is we remembered we have to be the better cause. So we say a prayer that if that person encountered something that was difficult in their life, that they can find the peace. And we don't know what happened before, but we're not going to let it bother us. Be a good person. Whether you're on the receiving end, you have to try to do your best to be a good person. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it reminds me of a saying that I go to every once in a while when we're talking about judgment is never look down on others because only God sits that high. Again, we shouldn't look down on others, never look down on others because only God has the seat high enough to see us from above. So those are just generic things. Be a good person. Let's move on. I hope we can do that. Now, other things, you're going to run into people that aren't necessarily treating you the best or being the kindness. So what do we do? Because that's unavoidable. Now what? How do we take care of our mental health? I mean, I could read through what you see if you Google list, eat healthy, exercise. I feel better when I exercise. I feel better if I'm not eating potato chips, trying to stay in the health kick, taking time for yourself, calming music, reading, having chocolate because you enjoy it in moderation, limiting alcohol consumption. I do think that that's a big one as we're spending more and more time at home, not getting into the funk of putting a depressant in our body over and over and over again. But those are things that you can see. I'm going to talk to you about some specifics here that I think are important. And the first one is drowning out negativity by having daily self-affirmations. When we have all these negative thoughts and we are fixated on what we need to improve on, instead of seeing the numerous things that we do great, we start to believe that we're not doing great. We have a mountain of characteristics that are so amazing, but we let one or two things often shadow that entire mountain. We have to start thinking in a positive, reminding ourselves of the great things we do. Whether you have, there's professionally, I had a drawer of things that when parents would write me a note, when teachers would write me a note, a student, that I would look to when I started to get into the negative thinking. I'd remember, man, I did do that. That's amazing. But we have to get out of the mindset of expecting things to be negative and have that catastrophic thinking. because we start to think that way. We have our mind think that way because we don't want to be disappointed if things don't go our way. We cannot live that way. That is not a healthy way to live. You need to force yourself to highlight the positives. You are awesome. Own it. You're awesome. And if you can't find an affirmation that day, then go to someone that is very close in your center and say, hey, I'm struggling today. I can't think of what I'm doing. Well, can you help me out? And I guarantee you they have a laundry list of things that you do that stands out. One thing that can help with that is there's a book called The 5-Minute Journal. And it's something that I've done. And what's great about that is it causes you to reflect, but it forces your mindset into the positive aspect. So real quickly, in the morning you wake up, you list something that you're grateful for. You list something that would make your day great that day. And then you have to write down a daily affirmation. And you're putting pen to paper. Okay? What is written is remembered. And then at the end of the day, you stop and you reflect. You say, what are 3 things that went well that day? And then the one, instead of the negative approach, but a different approach is what could have made it even better. Not what was terrible today. What could have made your day even better? And it's not always going to be easy. I mean, I'm not asking you to get up and puff out your chest and, write a laundry list of bragging things every morning. There's going to be some days that you're grateful for that you had a cold or you had a cool pillow to sleep on the night before. Or a daily affirmation is, hey, I'm up and I'm going through the motions today the best I can. It's not always perfect, but you're reminding yourself that you're doing the best that you can. Which leads me to the next point is perspective. We have to keep perspective in mind. And this is hard because we often feel slighted in life when things don't go our way, and we work so hard for something and it doesn't work out the way it's supposed to or the way it's traditionally done, and it makes our perspective skewed. But I'm going to challenge you today to step back and refocus where your perspective's going. Because if I gave everyone here 60 seconds to list things that haven't gone like they're supposed to during the pandemic, quarantine, the riots, you name it, you're all going to ask for an extension on time. You're going to give me more and more and more, and you're going to say 60 seconds, I could go on for days. I understand that there's a lot of things that haven't worked out for people. I'm not downplaying anything that's gone wrong or any frustrations you have. You deserve to feel those. But we can't dwell on those moments. So what I challenge you to do is take a step back and think of, okay, in the moment, this sucks. This is not what I imagined it to be. It's not what I hoped for. It's really kind of a downer. But what about in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What memories are you going to take away from the moment that you're upset at presently or currently? Is it going to be a huge impact? Can we turn our focus on dwelling on the negative and create memories that will happen in the future, that will be so excited that we took this controversy, we took this unknown, and we had one of the best times that we could imagine? It might be, again, there's so many different things that it might be, for example, high school graduation. I know school's almost getting ready to start in some states, but high school graduations were just going. And one thing is, you could really sit there and you could focus on your kids' high school graduation, how you're furious that it was taken away from them, that they didn't get the experience that they deserved. They put all this time into it, and just be mad and drag our feet and let that define the experience. But is that what you want to remember? Do you want your child to remember, man, my parents were so pissed that I didn't get to walk across the stage? I understand the frustration. That is tough. But can we take a step back and just do the best that we can and create another experience? It doesn't have to be the traditional one, but even better. Instead of being so frustrated and disappointed, what about the smiles that you're going to have that so people in your family, you all have them that aren't great with technology, and they're cussing and they're swearing that this is the worst thing, but they don't give up because they want to zoom in to see your graduation celebration. The sacrifice that they do for you. Your child Your graduating senior is going through something that can never be taken away from them. Their stories will be epic as they get older. They're going to tell people about, well, I didn't get to finish out my senior year. I graduated from Sporting Park, or I graduated virtually online. I watched a projection screen on a white sheet on my garage. That's how I graduated. And it's going to be a memory that will last forever, that they'll take away. They'll explain it to their grandkids. Can we squeeze a positive out of this? That's the perspective that we need. Or how about when you're trying to get your job done and you've also got kids running around the house and they need to get their education, and we don't know what to do. We can't balance Zooms. We can't balance getting the kids the education that they need. And we're trying to have them blend words. We're trying to understand Common Core math. We're ad-libbing as we go. Utter chaos. Is that what you're going to remember when you're sitting across from your child and they're telling you about the job that they have, that they love? The joy that comes through their heart? Absolutely not. What you're probably going to do is you're going to embellish the story and you're going to tell them, I gave you one of the most intensive, well thought out home instruction courses you could ever deserve. And you're going to take credit for it, but you're going to love it. Embrace the moments. Embrace the moments. Try to take a different perspective. It's hard. It is hard because we do feel like we're losing stuff, but we're actually gaining other experiences that can create memories that last a lifetime. And the last thing is about perspective is you have to remember there are people that are going through true catastrophes. We're talking about death, loss of life, things that they can never get back. Is what you're throwing a self-pity party for? Is what you're frustrated and causing chaos as important as that? Think about that. You have to force yourself to take away positives, okay? So remember, perspective. Force yourself to take away positives. Stop magnifying your misfortunes. Make what you're doing special because you have that opportunity. You can make things worse or you can make them special by just a positive attitude and rallying around each other. It reminds me of one of my favorite sitcoms, The Office, Jim and Pam's Wedding. And you know the crew of The Office if you watch it. It's just a circus show. And what they dedicated to is they do snapshots and they're taking mental memories of things that might not have been perfect. They might have been seen as imperfections, but they'll never forget. They never want to forget. Pam's veil's tearing, so what does Jim do? He cuts his tie off for a formal celebration. No one has a wedding where they're imagining having a tie snipped, a veil not there, the dances that the crew does down the aisle, all these things, but they're taking away the joys and they're not focusing on things that didn't work out the best. They deserve a better wedding? Yeah, they probably deserved a better wedding. But they created one that'll be as good as you could ever hope for because they enjoyed it. So remember that your attitude is contagious. And that is something that you want to try to lift each other up. If we do that together, it goes back to being a good person too. If we all make a combined effort and lift each other when we're down and focus on what we can control, then we can get through this and we can come out better on the other side. Other things that you need to focus on is if you had continued support, if you had plans in place for things that were already giving you issues or struggles or challenges, make sure that you continue to remember what those triggers are. Because now that you're in a pandemic and other things and political chaos and other movements of so forth, that you can't ignore what you know had already triggered you, right? And I mentioned in one of my things, I'm not going to write a blog, but I'll talk to you about it here. Things that I wasn't aware about myself that I am now is transitions for me are hard. So coming off of a 3-week family vacation in Kansas, that's hard for me. And I knew it would be, but I've got things in place and I'm okay with it. I accept it. I put plans in place and I do the best that I can. There's time of year for some people. For me, around Thanksgiving every year, I hit this low for some reason. But now I've seen it enough that I can acknowledge that and I can be self-aware that, okay, I need to be prepared for this. Stop being and hoping that things will be better next time. Be proactive, have something in place. Things that I do is I make an effort to write down my thoughts. I do Grace in Your Corner. Honestly, right now, this is helping my transition back to New Jersey after being with my family. I communicate with family. I touch base with the medical professionals in my life if I need them to. I've contacted my therapist, just checked in, and just bouncing off each other and letting them know, where I'm at. It's not easy. It takes self-awareness. It takes acceptance that it might be hard, and you have to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace that it's okay. Oh, the next one. And this is hard for people, but we have to stop ingesting the poison. What do I mean by stop ingesting the poison? Limiting ourselves to the negative. We have to reduce the amount of negative in our life. It does no good for us. So, scenario, when you were young and you went up to that stove and that hot burner and you touched it and it burned your hand, you pulled it back really quick. Would you go back to it time and time again? Of course not. Why? It hurt. It caused physical pain. And you identified that and you made the correction and you did not go back. But what we have to start thinking about mentally is there are things in our lives that are causing us emotional damage, mental illness, mental stress. We have to be able to acknowledge that and cut ties where we need to cut ties. And what am I focused on right now? I'm talking about news and social media. Things that can be great if taken the right way, but it's also platforms that are spewing with hate, jealousy, controversy, discrimination. It sucks your self-esteem out and it spits it away and you will not see it. You start to fixate on things that you saw. You get so worked up. It leads to a false reality of your own life. It skews your perspective. So tell me, have you ever run across things like this? Have you thought like this process? And you can thank your spouse, your brother, sister. Have you had conversations like this, your friend? Oh my God, honey, did you see what they posted on Facebook or Instagram? Can you believe they post something like that? I am going to unfollow this person because every time I see it, they just keep talking about this and it gets me so worked up. But yet that night, they're not your friend anymore, but you go up in the search bar and you type in their name and you go back because you want that negative. And you keep going back. Or how about that article they shared about Trump or Biden or the BLM movement is so not true. Do people even research what goes on? Do they just repost whatever? They're so gullible. Oh, man. I can't believe it. How many of you have had conversations like that? Or how another perspective is envy. Oh, this person always has so much fun. They do the coolest things. They're doing on a vacation now. They just went to the beach last week. They're always smiling. Their kids, why do their kids always look like they're dressed perfectly? It's like they're ready for a photo shoot every day. Jealousy, envy. You're comparing your life to a false reality behind a screen. You don't even know the rest of the story. You're starting to regret your life and wish that yours was different for no reason. It's not healthy. If you go to the news, if you go to social media and you can't resume your normal day or night in the same mood or better after viewing it, it's time to step away, folks. You have to limit the intake. Why would you do that to yourself? Stop running back to the stove. Limit the amount of social media that you take in. And it is over the top with an election year and with everything that's going on with the pandemic. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've seen direct family arguing with each other. It's unbelievable how we can act like that to others. Be a good person. I know, we're forgetting. And it's also unbelievable when we get behind the comfort of a digital platform, how we can say whatever we want to and think that there's nothing that goes along with it. But we're causing ourselves depression and anxiety, and sometimes we're not even recognizing that. We continue to go back, and it is draining our emotions mentally. Take a break from it. Delete it off your phone. If this is you, or if you're listening to it and you know that's your spouse or your child, take a break from it. You deserve better. Or if you're going to defriend them, defriend them. And if you think that, well, I don't want them to get mad, it's not healthy for you. Put yourself first. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is, and something I'll always talk about, and that's the grace in your corner. This is it, is utilize professional support if you need professional support. This is I'm going to use a couple catchphrases that you've heard a lot. This is an unprecedented time right now. And in an abundance of caution, reach out. Talk to someone that's in therapy. Talk to someone that has seen or has gone to a psychiatrist. Call them directly. Call a social worker to see if they can connect you. Call me. Talk to a loved one. But this is crazy what's going on in the world right now, and we don't know from day to day what's going to happen. And you aren't expected to know how to go through this. No one has navigated through this before with all these different factors. Stop trying to go through it alone. I've done that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Don't make that mistake. Go back to our conversation about memories. You're not going to be able to create those moments. You're not going to be able to make those memories if you aren't in a good state of mind. Don't go through life with a drained battery of emotions, your emotional wellness, your health. Don't suffer in silence. Your family deserves the best you. You deserve the best you. Take care of yourself. Go Google all the things that you can do. There's bingo cards, there's whatever of self-care. Find some that work. Those are there. But be aware of what's going on. Be aware of the support that's out there. Identify your triggers. Identify plans of support and people that have your back, and limit the amount of negative thoughts. You're such a unique person. You're such a unique person of God that you shouldn't put your health on the back burner. And I'm talking about emotional, physical as well, all of these together. So let's summarize these quickly. Things that I think you need to do is drown out the negative thoughts with daily affirmations. I posted on it yesterday. I said I'm persistent. Wasn't afraid to post that for all to see. I'm proud of it. Be proud of what you're strong in. Perspective. Keep that perspective. Stop ingesting the poison, social media news. Get rid of it if you need to get rid of it. Utilize professional support when needed. And do not let your ego into it. If you want to know more, call me. I'll talk to you about what an ego can do, but you can get out ahead of this. I really think that everyone should have someone that they talk to about their emotional support every week, especially during this time. Someone checking in, and they will not accept fine as an answer. Okay, why is it fine? What's going well? What are some things that you wish could have went better? How did you make memories out of a situation where you expected more, where you felt like you deserved more? Spark that dialogue. Because I want to continue to place a focus on mental health. Mental health matters. Mental health is what's going to continue to pull our society up. And whether it's directly impacting you currently or not, when we are openly continuing to have these dialogues, these conversations, it makes people feel more comfortable and open up and find the support that they need. And even if it's not directly impacting you today, it could down the future. This could be you going through a low down the future. But we're helping balance each other out, and we're normalizing seeking the support emotionally. And that's where I call upon you, and that's where I call upon the grace in your corner. So thank you for going on this journey with me, and please reach out. Share your story. Share your concerns. Talk to others. Let people know that it's okay. And we'll continue to make a positive impact. And finally, for those of you that are still with me, I think I've used finally 3 times. That's okay. Soul Provider, Seneca, Kansas. I am taking over social media for Soul Provider Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Man, oh man, what was my mom thinking? But I'm going to have some fun with this, okay? So I am going to do mental health focusing, continuing, and it starts with these Grace in Your Corner shirts. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have these on sale. These are going to be $15. They come in this purple, they come in gray. Focusing on mental health, it's just a great way to spark the dialogue on the back. One person, one life, it's our mission. And I'll also be doing a giveaway to give away a free shirt. But thank you to Crimson Concepts, Jessica Walters. The shirts are great. Stop by, get your shirt special if you're going there, and look for post from me on the Soul Provider account. Other than that, continue to be a good person, continue to live in a godly way, and continue to be the support and let people know that they aren't alone. God bless.